Nvidia's latest driver update lets RTX 50 owners download more FPS. Well, not quite. You're just getting the full performance that you originally should have got when these GPUs first launched months ago. But better late than never, I guess. In some games, best case, I saw up to 15% more FPS, but that's just not the case for most titles. So let's break down what's changed. Nvidia's 576.52 driver from May 19th says it fixes a bug where RTX 50 laptop GPUs may be power limited earlier than they should, and less power would mean less performance in games. A week before that update, I put out a 4090 vs 5090 laptop comparison video where I showed that in some games like Red Dead Redemption 2, the 4090 was running at 175 watts, but the 5090 was around 145 watts, resulting in the 4090 consistently performing better than the 5090, which makes no sense from a laptop with a 2-year newer GPU, newer CPU, and faster RAM. So as soon as I got home from Computex in Taiwan, I installed the newest driver, and sure enough, the 5090 laptop was indeed using more power than before. In Red Dead Redemption 2, it was about 10 watts or so higher with the newer driver, though it still wasn't as high compared to the 4090. When we look at the actual FPS, the driver update only gave us a 2 to 3% FPS boost in all 3 resolutions that I tested. But some games like Hogwarts Legacy saw a massive 15% FPS boost at 4K with the update, and similar for 1440p, while 1080p hardly changed at all. That's not too surprising, as lower resolutions don't hit the GPU as hard. It's not all big gains though. Cyberpunk 2077 was actually slightly behind at 4K with the update. Granted, we're talking about like 1 FPS, so I'd call this within the margin of error range. And then not too much different with ray tracing and upscaling in use. Microsoft Flight Simulator also had some big improvements from the driver update, reaching a 13% higher average FPS at 1440p and 4K. Interestingly, this game had the biggest improvement at 1080p out of all 25 games tested, with a 10% boost thanks to the drivers. But that's not the case in all games. I've just shown the highlights. Fact is, in the majority of the 25 games that I've retested, there wasn't any real meaningful improvement with the newer Nvidia driver installed. On average, things were slightly better, but for the most part, it's only a small difference that you're not actually going to notice while playing the game. On average, over all 25 games at 1080p, the RTX 5090 laptop GPU was almost 2% faster with the update applied. But this resolution isn't exactly GPU heavy, and you're probably not buying a 5090 for 1080p gaming anyway, so let's move on. The driver update gave the 5090 laptop GPU a 3% performance boost at 1440p. Some games like Hogwarts and Flight Sim were way out in front with some big improvements, but for the most part, the differences were much smaller. And that's basically the same at 4K too. The 5090 was still around 3% faster with the newer Nvidia driver update. Here's how the average FPS looks from all 25 games, as I think this gives us a better way to quickly see the differences. So just a 2 to 3 FPS boost with the 576.52 driver update on average. Here's how much power the 5090 was reported as using during our game tests. On average at 4K, before the driver update, the 5090 was running at about 160 watts. And after the driver update, the average power usage increased to about 169 watts, which is about what I'd expect with the last 5 watts or so being for dynamic boost. This means that on average, Nvidia's new driver allowed the 5090 laptop GPU to run with 6% more power compared to before, which resulted in 3% more FPS at this resolution. As for my RTX 5090 vs RTX 4090 laptop comparison, I originally reported the 5090 as 0.3% slower than the 4090 at 1080p, but now with the updates, the 5090 is now 1.6% faster on average, so still not much difference. But at least the 5090 wins now. At 1440p, I previously reported the 5090 as 0.6% faster than the 4090, but now with the driver update in place, the 5090 is 3.7% faster compared to the 4090. And then at 4K, I previously reported the 5090 as 3.2% faster than the 4090, but with the update, the 5090 is now 6.1% faster than the 4090. So the 5090 laptop has a bit more of a lead over the 4090 laptop due to that Nvidia driver update. But at the end of the day, the improvement is only minor and doesn't change anything that I said in my 4090 vs 5090 comparison. The 5090 just isn't enough generational improvement for 2+ years after the 4090. And yeah, my conclusion hasn't changed on that, so I'm not going to redo the 4090 vs 5090 comparison. But I will put a link on it to this video. I also mentioned that the power efficiency was one of the main benefits with the 5090 laptop, and with the 5090 with driver update in purple, it was able to use more power, but it's only a small difference compared to the old driver in the red bar, and still a fair bit less power compared to the 4090 in the blue bar. The performance per watt efficiency results don't really change much either. The 5090 in purple now uses more power, but it also hits higher FPS, and it's still more efficient compared to the last gen 4090. Likewise, there weren't any major differences to temperatures, and clock speed saw a little increase due to the extra power. As for our laptop reviews, we're currently working on retesting all of the gaming laptops that we've already covered this year so far, so it's a bit of work, but we'll have it done by the next laptop review video. So you can assume that in all our upcoming laptop review videos, all the game data will be with this new Nvidia driver that gives the slight performance boost to 50 series. This is yet another chapter in the ongoing saga of Nvidia's poor RTX 50 series launch.
RTX 50 series just had its most successful launch ever.
Yeah, it's great they fixed it, but these GPUs have been available to buy for like 3 months now, and potentially people haven't been getting the full performance they paid for. Granted, in most cases, as we saw, the performance difference only appears to be minor. But how does Nvidia fail to check that their laptop GPUs aren't using full power? That seems like a pretty big oversight in the QA process, if you ask me. But now that this thing has been improved, I can get to work on continuing all our comparisons between RTX 40 and 50 series, laptop versus desktop comparisons, and even AMD CPU versus Intel CPU comparisons. In total, I've got something like 15 or 20 comparisons coming up this year, so definitely make sure that you're subscribed for all that content. Until then, you can check out the best new gaming laptops coming out in 2025 over there next. I'll see you in that one.